When people think about Led Zeppelin, they often imagine the roar of Jimmy Page's guitar, the thunder of John Bonham's drumming, the steady ground held by John Paul Jones, and Robert Plant's voice soaring above it all like a force of nature. But behind that image of unstoppable power, there was a moment when the band almost broke under the weight of one song. For Robert Plant, it wasn't just another track. It was a physical and emotional ordeal that nearly destroyed him, a moment where music collided with suffering in the harshest possible way. That song was Achilles' Last Stand. In the mid-1970s, Led Zeppelin were at their peak. They had conquered arenas across America, sold millions of records worldwide, and established themselves as one of the most dominant forces in rock. But success came at a cost. The band was constantly on tour, constantly under pressure to top themselves, and surrounded by chaos. Drugs, excess, and constant movement had taken a toll on their bodies and minds. For Robert Plant, the breaking point came in the summer of 1975. While vacationing in Rhodes, Greece, Plant was involved in a devastating car accident. His wife Maureen was driving when the car lost control and crashed. Plant suffered serious injuries, including a shattered ankle and damaged leg that left him unable to walk properly. His wife was critically injured, and their children were shaken, but survived. For Plant, the accident was more than physical trauma. It was the beginning of a spiral. The golden frontman of Led Zeppelin, known for his energy and presence on stage, suddenly found himself confined to a wheelchair, reliant on others, and facing uncertainty about whether he would ever be able to perform again. The timing couldn't have been worse. Led Zeppelin were scheduled to record their next album, but Plant's injuries made touring impossible. The band regrouped in Malibu, California, where Plant tried to recover, but his frustration grew. He was restless, in pain, and isolated. The band had no choice but to wait. For months, Plant sat in that Malibu house, staring at his future, unsure if his career was about to end. For a man defined by his voice and his physical presence, it was torture. But Jimmy Page, ever the driving force, refused to let the band lose momentum. By late 1975, he pushed for Zeppelin to begin work on a new record. The result was Presence, an album written and recorded in Munich at Musicland Studios. Plant was still in a wheelchair when he arrived, carried into the studio, physically broken but determined to prove he could keep going. The sessions were brutal. Page, strung out from constant touring and heavy drug use, pushed everyone to extremes. Bonham was volatile, his drinking escalating. Jones was quiet but strained, caught between egos. And Plant, immobile and in constant pain, was forced to summon strength from somewhere deep inside himself. It was in this atmosphere that Achilles' Last Stand was born. The song was unlike anything Zeppelin had attempted before. Running over 10 minutes, it was a relentless, pounding epic, fast, intense, and merciless. Jimmy Page crafted one of the most intricate guitar arrangements of his career, layering riffs and solos in a relentless wall of sound. John Bonham drove the track with a pulse that never let up, his drumming sounding like a war march. John Paul Jones built the foundation with a bass line that tied everything together. But the weight of the song fell squarely on Robert Plant. For a man who could barely walk, who had to sit down between takes, the demand of delivering vocals for Achilles' Last Stand was nearly impossible. Plant poured out his voice with every ounce of strength he had, but it pushed him to his absolute breaking point. Each take left him exhausted, his body screaming in protest, his spirit teetering on collapse. He wasn't just singing, he was fighting. Fighting against pain, against fear, against the possibility that this might be the last great performance he could ever give. The song itself mirrored his struggle, with lyrics that reflected a sense of travel, exile, and inner battles. It became a soundtrack to Plant's suffering. As he sang, he wasn't just performing, he was living the torment. The irony was brutal. Here was Robert Plant, immobilized, recording one of the fastest, most demanding tracks Zeppelin would ever produce. It was almost cruel, and yet it was also a testament to his willpower. But the strain nearly broke him. In later years, Plant admitted that Achilles' last stand almost destroyed him. It drained everything he had left. It made him confront his own fragility in a way he never wanted to. It wasn't just about music anymore. It was about survival. The band around him wasn't helping. Page was spiraling deeper into heroin addiction, often disappearing for hours or days, leaving the others waiting. Bonham's drinking was becoming uncontrollable, his temper explosive. Jones, though professional, was frustrated with the lack of stability. The sessions became a battlefield, and Plant, stuck in his chair, was caught in the middle. There were moments when he questioned whether it was worth it, whether the song, whether the band were worth the pain he was enduring.